Hello everyone, this is part 35 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Kiba could hear Naruto's tea closing as he squeezed it despite feeling initial resistance he felt he was facing in the process. Kiba realized that as much as he was squeezing the tea closed, Naruto's healing powers were fighting him at the same time to keep the tea from being crushed. Damn it, why won't you just thought Kiba, putting more strength into his grip while the machines monitoring Naruto's life signs were becoming more and more erratic and his grip on Hinata's hand was increasing as his body struggled to breath. To his right, Kiba could see Hinata stirring ever so slightly from the movement Naruto's hand was making on hers, and in seeing this he used both of his hands to finish what he started. The dog user was so caught in strangling Naruto that he failed to notice a figure was now behind him wielding a small, thin, and metallic weapon. Smack was the sound that echoed throughout of the room as Kiba fell onto the floor, unconscious next to the bed, and his hold on Naruto disengaged before he landed with a thump onto the ground. The thump-like noise from Kiba's body was just loud enough that it awakened Hinata almost immediately from her dream. She had been dreaming of being with Naruto in a field of flowers with no one around to disturb them, and it probably would have turned into one of her more adventurous dreams when it turned into a nightmare. A nightmare where, just as he finished kissing her right on the lips, that the evil that were her lover's enemies had appeared from the shadows and started squeezing the life out of him. All the while he held on to her as he struggled to fight back, not once letting go of her hand as she tried to help him despite the lack of strength to do so. Naruto-kun, half-yelled Hinata with tears in her eyes, both in her and now awake as she had seen the life in his eyes out in her nightmare. It was a nightmare, truly one for the record books. That dog-eating jerk tried to kill him, said a female voice, drawing a teary-eyed Hinata away from looking at Naruto, whose breathing on the respirator and the beats from the heart monitor system was slowly returning normal again. Who are you? Identify yourself, said Hinata, getting into her gentle fist ready and willing to for the one she loved if need be. Whoa. Hey, relax. I knew I should have hit that damn light switch in here even if it meant getting the asshole I knocked into the ground attention, said the figure, carefully walking away from Naruto's bed and turning on the lights, revealing a red-haired girl, wearing a Kohono leaf headband on her head, and had her flute in her right hand. Who are you? I've never seen you before in Kohono, said Hinata, still not letting her guard down, knowing that if she did even in the slightest could mean her and Naruto's death. That's because I originally came from Sound. Hinata's guard tightens. Whoa. Hold on, I said originally from Sound, I never said I working for Sound right now. Not with that Orochi team and his gay partner Kabuto team S. If anything, Sound will be destroyed by a rival ninja village by the end of the month or from within. As for my name, just call me Tayuya, and as for me being here working for the Leaf, your old hag of a Hokage was really persuasive in getting me to stay here in Kohono along with that fanatical albino bonecrapper Kimimaro. I had to prove myself by watching over Naruto-kun through a secret rotation involving his close friends and family, said Tayuya, smirking, though she was mentally frowning on the fact that Hinata still did not lower her guard. She called him Naruto-kun, thought Hinata, while her inner Hinata was fuming at the thought of this foul-mouthed girl getting near her love. How dare she call him that? I call him that. She's trying to steal him away like the others. Cha, said inner Hinata before she went into Gentle Fist and destroyed several taijutsu training post dummies with Tayuya's face on them. That Hokage is one smart old hag, knowing that those old sty bats from hell that are your counsel would manipulate the Anbu guards that are supposed to be watching him to stay away long enough for someone to try and take Naruto-kun out. I mean, wasn't it weird that there are no guards watching over his room that you could detect with those eyes of yours? Said Tayuya, looking at the girl while putting her flute away, which made Hinata lower her fighting stance if only by a little. As Hinata lowered her Gentle Fist stance, thinking about what Tayuya just said, realizing that if the girl was a threat she would have killed Naruto before the attacker. Eyes had suddenly widened as she ran to the other side of Naruto's bed and saw it was none other than her teammate Inuzuka Kiba on the ground. She saw his clawed hands had a small amount of blood on them before she looked at Naruto and saw blood from wounds that had already healed staining the bandages in his area. Kiba, why would he do this to Naruto-kun? Said Hinata, finding herself confused at her fellow friend and Leaf Ninja comrade. Because he thinks Naruto-kun is a demon and that he's controlling you somehow. That and the dog kind of likes you more than a friend and wants you for himself under his thumb. I got what he said all on tape in case you don't believe me, said Tayuya, holding up the tape recorder, smiling a wicked smile she always had when she was with the Sound 5 and got good dirt on someone. Like how the big bad fat and muscular Jirobo used to sleep with a teddy bear named Mr. Pooch at night because he was afraid of the dark. She got him doing clean-up duty at the academy for 3 months before Orochimaru found out and nearly broke both her arms for what she was doing, as it was destroying their teamwork and trust. Tayuya was sure the same rule applied here, but only if you only got dirt on the Hokage herself and then she still had to give you something in return for it. We need to restrain him before he can wake up and deliver him to Tsunade-sama for questioning, said Hinata, now scowling at her soon-to-be former teammate. I'll help, and maybe before alert that old hag we can get in a good cheap shot in on him. I personally would prefer to give eating woodpecker a good kick to his small lower region area. What about you? Said Tayuya, as she pulled out the restraining cable wire that all shinobi used when they restrained their captives. Hinata thought about it for a moment, and though it was underhanded and painful, for the male part of the two genders, Kiba had been very opposed to Naruto and her being close. The Hyuga heiress knew that Kiba knew that Naruto and she were to be married to help revive both the Kazama and Uzumaki clan, but also because they were in love. That much had been made clear to Kiba and everyone else in Konoha, whether they had approved of it or not. That honor belongs to me, Tayuya-san. You go inform Tsunade-sama while I deal with Inuzuka team, said Hinata, scowling the infamous Hyuga frown that even made Tayuya shiver a little, knowing this girl though shy had more backbone than one would originally think. Here you go and kick Dog Humper in the nuts for me too. From what he said it's clear he has no respect for women, unlike Naruto-kun, said Tayuya, who whispered the last part, but Hinata heard it and it made her look at Tayuya suspiciously. Exactly what was it that Tsunade-sama gave to you in return for your loyalty, other than to keep your head on your body? Said Hinata, as she tied up Kiba's arms behind his back with her sweetness that was always in her voice, not even part of what she just spoke to the former bodyguard of the late Orochimaru. Oh, nothing much except keeping my life, a decent rank, and being a part of Naruto-kun's harem, said Tayuya, a little too quick for Hinata to catch for a good 5 seconds. While Hinata processed what Tayuya had said near the end, the flute genjutsu user used this time to leave. What? Said Hinata, as her voice echoed out of the hospital and into Konoha, while her eyes looked like Lee's at the moment when he was fired up, only they were of anger at the new girl getting into the harem. Cha! How dare Tsunade-sama do that? Naruto-kun is mine. When I find that old bat I'm going to. I don't know what, but it won't be pretty. Said Inner Hinata as she ran up Hinata's mental wall, hissing like an angry cat. Her outer version was partially influenced by this and aimed such hostility to the slowly awakening form of Inuzuka Kiba. Oh crap, what happened? Did that demon get me, or did I imagine that I was king him? What? Hey, I'm tied up, said Kiba as he tried to break free from his bonds and turned so he was on his back, and now facing a pissed-off Hyuga Hinata. A pissed-off Hyuga Hinata, who was hiding it through a fake and sweet smile so she could give Kiba his just desserts for what he tried to do to her Naruto-kun. Hello Kiba-kun. How are you? Said Hinata with her voice having a fake sweetness to it that would have made even Anko sweat a little, but considering Kiba's intelligence he thought the sweetness was for real. It was known shortly after this, that throughout Shinobi Nations people heard loud and painful screams from a single entity originating from Konoha. Hinata. Did Naruto? Are you free from his spell? Oh thank you Kami, then you can help me out of these binds so I can make my escape. Then maybe both of us can go on a date later to celebrate your freedom from that fox monster, said Kiba, happily thinking he would soon have his girl, his sister, and his mom back with everything being as they should be. His smile, however, left him as he saw the girl's smile turn to that of pure fury as she let off so much intent that it made Naruto's life signs become erratic to a point where if Hinata didn't stop, his heart would. Seeing this, Hinata had to tone it down, but she would make sure that her words and her actions lost none of their potency. That monster is my future husband Kiba, that demon is my one true love, and it is that fox that will always find C no matter what he does is going to be Hokage one day. For what you have tried to do to my love, I am going to see to it that you never, ever, hurt my Naruto-kun again, said Hinata, getting into her gentle fist stance with her Byakugan eyes blazing with a fury not seen since the female head of the Hyuga clan some 10 years after Konoha was first founded by the first and second Hokage. It wasn't until Kiba noticed his position and how her stance was aiming down not at his upper body, but rather lower to a much more sensitive place that two words came to the dog user's mind. OS, thought Kiba, knowing he was soon going to be a dog missing a leg, and it wasn't used for walking. 8 trigrams 64 palms. 2 strikes. 4 strikes. 8 strikes. 16 strikes. 32 strikes. 64 strikes, said Hinata, hitting Kiba with key precision and no mercy at his nether region, making him cry out in pain that was heard around the elemental nations and shinobi villages. Konoha Hospital roof 10 minutes later. Did Tayuya pass the test? Said Arashi, appearing behind the green Nankian warrior, who was standing near the edge of the roof watching over its people that were mostly sounding asleep in their beds once more after the scream SD away. As expected, she protected Naruto from Kiba as you said she would. She cut it a little close since she needed to get what he said on tape, but all things considered I think we did well, said Piccolo, who involuntarily grabbed his new right arm knowing he lost the old one, grabbing Naruto through that blast that would have killed him too, if he weren't already that is. It's a good thing Nankians can regenerate their limbs. That must have come in handy on 1 or 2 occasions I take it, said Arashi, standing near Piccolo, who couldn't help but smile. Yes, I have had those types of encounters. However, I shall digress from my past as it is irrelevant at this point. The question is now what to do with the boy that tried to kill your son, said Piccolo, turning his head to look at the former fire shadow of the Leaf Village. He'll be dealt with one way or another. As I once told the council, I will act as a father first and a ninja second on this matter. Considering it didn't work out the other way 12 years ago, there is no other way to look at it, said Arashi, scowling at the mention of the Inuzuka's name, knowing that the Kazama clan was always hated by them for the strength they possessed and their respect for foxes. Did Tsunade really promise that Tayuya girl a spot in Naruto's harem? Said Piccolo, seeing how he was watching Naruto when it was his turn during the rotation of his friends and family sent to watch him. To be honest, I think Tayuya would have been in the harem whether Tsunade offered her the choice or not. When what happened to Naruto reached everyone, Tayuya had the same worried expression on her face as Haku and the other girls did when they learned about it later on. Tsunade obviously saw the look, recognized, and has used it as a good incentive to get the girl onto our side. Since Naruto just freed the girl from the servitude of that snake team, I think it would have been inevitable that she would want to figure the boy out from what she already knew, said Arashi, remembering how Hikari was so upset when women would show up at his doorstep nearly asking if they could come in to talk. If he had become a pervert, he would have SD from blood loss via nosebleed and again from a massive beating to death from via his wife. Thank Kami for small miracles that come with being one of the very rare few who aren't perverted, thought Arashi, seeing how none of that happened, and even more so when she was pregnant with Naruto. I'll stay here and keep an eye out for anything wrong. You should go back to sleep since you look like you've been lacking some as of late, said Piccolo, who due to his far from above human senses could see the lines under Arashi's eyes beginning to form. Sorry, it's just that when your son has been in a near fight with another demon vessel, has a near-death experience, and was nearly assassinated by his supposed friend, it kind of destroys the pleasures of sleep, said Arashi, as he was worried for his son's safety like any father would for their son. Trust me, your kid will come through, he just needs more time. Remember, I brought him to the hospital 3 days ago if you count tonight, said Piccolo, as his mind recalled that memory inside his head. Flashback 3 days ago, Konoha Hospital. Get me a respirator right away, his breathing has become erratic, said Tsunade, as she, some doctors, and nurses wheeled the boy in with the former 4th Hokage watching as his bleeding son was being wheeled into the emergency room. After the explosion happened, Arashi sent Terra to pick up the others from fighting since she just had to lift the ground up from under them with them on it. When they got back, the team went to the hospital and got patched up from fighting or from chakra exhaustion. Within moments, the entire Kazama harem that belonged to Naruto was outside the with a wounded Piccolo bleeding from his right arm from the elbow on down used to be. What happened? We heard the rescue team came back. Where is Naruto-kun? Said Ino worriedly, hoping that he was all right. There were complications, Ino, said Gaara with his arms folded without a mark on him and looked like he was all right. What do you mean? Said Haku, as her worry grew with her every passing heartbeat that she heard within her chest. Naruto became handicapped in his battle with the Sound 5. He killed 3 of them and was able to capture 2 in the process. However, when he went to the Valley of the End and fought Sasuke, Orochimaru, Kabuto, Sasuke, and an army of Sound as well as Suna ninja were waiting for him. They used seals that had placed on the ground to make Sasuke strong and weaken Naruto even further. In the end, Naruto had to use a jutsu that created a massive explosion that while killed the others, it nearly killed him as well, said Piccolo before he focused his body to regenerate his right arm that he lost. Whoa, said nearly everyone, surprised the Namekian could do that with his body and from what they were just told. When Naruto becomes civilized he will need you support more than ever, said Slade looking like he was slightly exhausted while appearing with Kurenai out of nowhere as she too had a serious look on her face. Those seals she found out not only affected Naruto, but her Slade-kun as well, draining his strength in Snow, now renamed Spring, country. The end result nearly resulted in the mission they had with the Namekian warrior to be considered a failure. Piccolo had to drop him off at her home before he flew to get Naruto when he along with Slade felt his spirit out like that of star in the sky. Piccolo, how severe are Naruto's injuries when you arrived at the hospital with him? Said Kurenai, hoping the boy would be all right. Unfortunately, to put his condition bluntly, he almost looks like a corpse, said Piccolo looking at Slade, who only nodded briefly and left in a brief flash of orange flame. What's wrong with him? Said Ino, confused, thinking that the man would stay to support Naruto in his time of need. He's going to help Naruto in his own way. In the meantime we will help with our own, and that's to support him while he recovers from his injuries, said Kurenai, knowing no one would disagree with it since she was the Junin that outranked most of the people in this hallway. Where is Hinata? Said Kiba, trying to sound worried as a teammate, but everyone could tell he did it as something else. She's resting. The sleep jutsu Itachi used on her was Anbu to near cage level that he must have learned during his time in the Black Ops unit, said Zabuza, appearing around the corner to face them, seeing as how he overheard the conversation. Behind him was the shark face looking Kisame along with Itachi, both wearing Konoha shinobi outfits and headbands. For Itachi, he felt odd being in it again after all this time. Damn, this feels weird wearing this again, said Itachi, as he tried to adjust his Junin vest so it wouldn't strain his en and shoulder areas. You feel weird. Damn Itachi, I'm from Mist and I feel like a fish out of water here. No pun intended of course, said Kisame, as the tailor for his leaf clothing had to have his especially made as the man was taller than even Ibiki. I take it from your surprises that you know why I am not in a holding cell being prepped for execution at the moment, said Itachi, ignoring his former Akatsuki partner. My apologies, Itachi-san. I spied on Kisame's conversation and learned the truth about what happened to Naruto-kun before I told the others. Piccolo-sama explained everything else that Kisame didn't know, said Haku, bowing her head at the Uchiha before her. So you were the person I sensed. Not bad, kid. If you want I can teach you some water jutsus that not even Zabuza can do, said Kisame, finding this girl would make a great student under his tutelage. Damn it, Kisame, now is not the time. My nephew is in there hanging on by a thread and all you can think about is training Haku, said Zabuza, hitting the shark man in the back of the head with his fist. Hours seemed to pass by after that before a blood-covered Tsunade came out looking utterly exhausted, while Shizune, who almost equally as bloody, looked like she was ready to just puke the entire time. Arashi looked tired and ready to collapse then and there as the stress of the situation with his son held strong. How is he? Said all the girls, who would have glared at each other had it not been such a serious matter. In all my years learning medical jutsus and understanding the human body, I have never seen anyone's body look as bad as I did Naruto's. His body is so damaged right now I can't even describe it, said Tsunade, with Shizune having the horrified expression on her face as she couldn't take it anymore and ran to the nearest bathroom to puke. I've wanted to do that too ever since I saw his condition, and had it not been for my years of experience involving near-death patients I would have joined her, thought Tsunade, as she started rubbing her right temple, wanting to get some last-minute sake and some sleep before she had to give the council the bad news about the Uchiha's End flashback. Arashi remembered that moment all too well as the girls saw his condition and stayed with him for a good 6 hours before hospital visits ended. Realizing that Naruto was an easy target for anyone who hated him, and that was a lot of people, Asuma and Anko took the first watch over in a corner of the room concealed by the shadows of that night. The council wants him in the meeting room the instant he's conscious regardless if he could speak, hear, or even much less see them. They are going to try and either exile him or execute him, his lineage be damned, said Arashi out of nowhere while his fists were now clenched wanting to tear those old farts a new hole. They will try and they will fail. You have enough information on them to have them all executed no matter what they try to do. The best part is that they don't know it yet, said Piccolo smirking as he imagined the look on their faces when they found themselves on the chopping block both figuratively and literally. When the moment is right at that meeting as they spring their trap we'll spring ours and see to it that their presence within Konoha are eradicated, said Arashi before heading for home needing all the sleep he could until the meeting and needing all the brain power to hit the council the instant they struck. 3 days later mid-morning hospital room 345. When word got out to Naruto's girls, by Tayuya, that his condition had improved and he was now fully conscious, one could have sworn they heard a loud sonic boom enhanced stampede coming towards the hospital. The room had been sent flying hitting Jiraiya in his hiding place, where he knew he could not be seen, and possibly get some research done involving Naruto's harem. However, the velocity of the now unhinged door hit the super pervert knocking him unconscious leaving him unaware of the events that would take place next, much to his dismay later on. "Hey you guys, how are you?" said Naruto, who would have waved to them if he could move one of his arms. "Naruto-kun. I was so worried about you," said Haku hugging him with all the affection she could muster before she heard rapid noises from the life monitoring machines he was tied to. Apparently she was hitting some still healing parts of his body thus causing him extreme pain. "Stop hurting my Naruto-kun," yelled Ino pulling Haku away though with the firm grip the ice user had on her love it caused more pain than before forcing Naruto to bite back a scream though it was extremely difficult. "Both of you stop it," yelled Hinata getting everyone's attention as it was rare for Hinata to yell, but when she did people listened. Finding that she was now the center of attention, Hinata blushed red from embarrassment before she turned her undivided attention to her love that was in pain yet again. Taking her medical cream she had on hand she used it on some of Naruto's wounds that could be seen from the bandages that had been slightly open from Ino pulling Haku away. As she did this, Naruto's body seemed to relax as his body felt less pain than before. "Thanks Hinata-chan. I really needed that," said Naruto from behind his bandages before he looked at the others, only to group's surprise, look away in shame knowing how bad he looked without these medical wrappings. "Naruto-kun, why do you look away from us?" said Tenten finding his current actions puzzling along with the others. "Because I look horrible and I'm ashamed that you have to see me like this," said Naruto, as part of him wished he just SD rather than let them see him like this. "Barker, we don't care how you look. It's your personality that counts to us and frankly in our eyes you haven't changed in that regard," said Temari wanting to hit him with her fan had he been in lesser pain. "Thanks Temari-chan, I needed that moral boost," said Naruto smiling, as much as he could without hurting himself. "When you're better we'll see what else I can boost," said Temari winking making Naruto blush while the girls glared while Hana was behind her trying to restrain herself from squeezing the girl's N. Though Hana was the closest she put her hands away knowing that they were here to help make Naruto better. "Hey Naruto, can I ask you a question?" said Kin walking up to him and carefully placed a hand on his making him slightly wince in pain. "Yeah sure Kin-chan, fire away. Just don't make me laugh," said Naruto chuckling a little before he winced in pain proving his point. "If Sasuke was a demon vessel, then does that mean you are one too?" said Kin making Naruto's eyes widen along with everyone else in the room before Tayuya came in with Kurenai, who was worried about her lover as he worked on fixing Naruto from the inside. "Well I guess now there is no better time to come forward huh? Kurenai-san, could you the door and put up a sound barrier? The last thing I need is for someone outside to hear what's being said since I don't trust the hospital. This place doesn't exactly have the best record when it comes to my health," said Naruto, as his voice was sounding slightly depressed and many of the girls wondered what he meant though Kurenai knew of what he was talking about all too well. Slade had gotten a small copy of Naruto's medical file and shown her a small fraction in comparison to what was the actual size was. When she had read the first 2 paragraphs of information, she couldn't stand it and crushed the information in her hands. Ninja art, sound barrier jutsu, said Kurenai, going through the hand signs before the jutsu could start. To answer your question, Kin, yes, I am a demon vessel, and the demon I hold shouldn't be that hard to figure out. I mean, think about it. I hold the one demon most people in Leaf hate, and it is the one animal that represents the greatest fear and hate, said Naruto, as he turned his head slightly towards them. The Kyubi no Kitsune. You hold the 9-tailed demon fox inside of you, said Ino, slightly taken back, making Naruto wince at her body movement. Yeah, the one demon people in Konoha love to hate and hate to love, said Naruto, his voice sounding bitter, knowing that this would probably be the moment where the 3 burst into tears, call him demon, and run out of the room. So that's why nearly everyone in the village constantly hates you. They think you are the Kyubi and not the human being that holds it, said Tenten, now shocked that people would go so far to hate a demon that they would strike the human it is contained in. Naruto just nodded. I don't believe it. Ninja art, mind transfer jutsu, said Ino before anyone could move to stop her, before she completed the hand signs and used her family's signature move on Naruto. However, just as she did it, Kin and Tenten had grabbed her shoulder, transferring all 3 minds into the boy, making them all collapse. Great, just what Naruto needs. Another set of voices in his head besides the other 2, said a slightly annoyed Kurenai, catching Ino before placing her, much to the other girl's protest, on Naruto bed next to him. Hana had caught Kin and Tenten before placing them in chairs. Wait, you said, other 2. If you count the Kyubi as one, then, who is the other? Said Temari, slightly confused, as were the others except Hinata, Haku, and Tayuya, who had involuntarily shivered knowing what the older woman meant. Dragona, the queen dragon of the darkness flame. The tattoo on his right arm is her symbol, said Kurenai, making everyone look at her, completely shocked by this and to a degree, slightly jealous. Why jealous? Because the dragon was a she. Dragon females were rumored to flirt, and this particular dragon was always with Naruto. Their Naruto. In Naruto's mind, Ino, Kin, and Tenten found themselves in a dark, dank, mist room not like no other Ino had seen before, or the other 2 for that matter. Ino had experience in entering minds from when she was taught by her father, and his experience when he originally taught her how to properly enter people's minds. Most minds she was allowed to enter with permission, and sometimes not enter, were happy minds filled with happy thoughts. However, she found the place to be similar to a crypt, with rows upon rows and columns upon columns of long black coffins. Creepy, thought Ino, hoping that Naruto didn't hear that, though knowing him he probably did. As they took a step towards a blood-red door across the room from them, the group saw the coffins rise up, standing at attention, each one with some form of security in place around it. Whoa, this is pretty freaky. What is all this, Ino? Said Tenten, looking at her friend for advice, since she was supposed to be somewhat of an expert on the subject. Ino was stumped at first, but then she remembered her father coming back the one night when her parents thought she was asleep, and she heard her father talking about what he had seen in Naruto mind during an order examination by the council and one reluctant Sandaime. At first, when the platinum blonde heard what her father described only as a dark crypt of horrors, she didn't really understand what her father meant. It was then that she had become drawn to Naruto in secret, as he was a puzzle that she wanted to solve. Are all these coffins the horrible memories you have, Naruto-kun, that reflect your life? Said Ino out loud, walking again toward the door across the room. These are where his memories are. Man, his life must have been more miserable than any of us could imagine, said Kin, trying to touch one of the coffins only for it to shake and snarl like some of the others did, meaning they were memories that were off limits. Don't do that again, it's too creepy, said Tenten, though she was glad that his memories were well secured despite the raging beast-like sounds from behind those that stirred. Every once in a while they would glance at the coffins and the doors that led to the dark memories that lay beyond. Ino, Kin, and Tenten could only shudder at the thought of the memory that lay beyond any of the chained doors of the coffins, with each having a lock on it that was the shape of a demon's face. I really wish you hadn't entered and done that mind jutsu of yours on me, Ino-chan, said Naruto, appearing behind her and making the poor girls scream almost out of their clothing. Naruto-kun, what are you doing here? said Ino, somewhat surprised that his mental capacity could allow him to appear within his own mind like this, giving her the distinct impression he had done this before, and with her father no less. Tenten and Kin ran up and hugged him, trying to tell him they were sorry and how they tried to stop her, but it was too late. You know, your father asked the same thing when he was ordered to do a deep mental examination of my mind. Though I would think the reason behind me being here would be obvious, considering this is my mind after all. I take it you want to meet the demon behind the human vessel, huh? Said Naruto, looking like he wasn't wounded at all since he could look any way he wanted to in it. Why yes, I just hope he doesn't get angry and try to s my head off or something, said Ino, slightly nervous, wondering what the great fox looked like. Boy, are they all going to be in for a surprise. Right, Dragona, thought Naruto, who got a small giggle out of the dragoness, knowing that the girl's reaction would be priceless. Indeed, Naruto-kun. Indeed, thought Dragona, finding that while Ino in a sense had just entered his mind uninvited, she as well as the other two needed to accept the truth about Naruto to prevent them from possibly turning arrogant like the villagers. Naruto, Tenten, Kin, and Ino soon reached the door, and Naruto opened it with a simple pulling of the door. After the group of four entered, the door disappeared and Ino, Kin, and Tenten found they were trapped like Naruto inside Kyuubi's cage. Don't worry, Kin-chan, Ten-chan, and Ino-chan, your dad, points to Ino, went through the same thing and he's alive, so have some faith in me, said Naruto, putting his muscled arm around the group, making them blush at the embrace. As Tenten, Kin, Ino and Naruto walked through the cage, she noticed it was different than she expected, with gears, cogs, and pistons from what Kurenai explained of the old train that she and the other two discovered in Snow, at the time, country. More guests for me to see yet again, Naruto, said a familiar voice Ino recognized almost immediately as the figure in orange and black stepped out of the shadows to meet the two. Slade-san. But I thought you were going to introduce me to Kyuubi, said Ino, making Naruto shake his head with a small smile at Ino's semi-stupidity. Slade just sighed. Ino-chan, Kyuubi is Slade, said Naruto, not wanting to keep Ino confused any longer than she had to be. But he was out with Kurenai-sensei and has been seen around your father. How can he be the Kyuubi? Said Tenten, looking between Slade and Naruto. Instantly 5 comfortable-looking chairs appeared and Slade sat down in one of them while he then motioned the 4 to take a seat. It's a good thing time has little meaning in here, so I can tell you everything at a quicker pace, said Slade, telling Ino, Kin, and Tenten just about everything from when he had first met the 4th all the way to where they were now. Real world 15 minutes later. They better not be kissing him inside his own head, said Temari, seeing how Naruto's vitals jumped slightly every few minutes. What's wrong, blonde? Afraid the 4 are going to get all perverted and S in there and they'll get a good look at Naruto-kun's big, long, and masculine, said Tayuya, only to be silenced by a wide-eyed Kurenai with a hand over the girl's mouth while the others blushed, knowing what the next word was going to be. Poor Hinata, who was next to Naruto, looked along his waist area and was 3 breaths away from having the nosebleed to end all nosebleeds. Haku came in a distant second, with Tenten and Temari coming in a tied for 3rd. Tayuya-san, please refrain from using your mouth in such a manner or we'll have to see the Hokage again about what you say in front of others, said Kurenai, making the young girl shiver at the thought. Whoa, that was a rush, said Ino in her own body as she had left Naruto's mind before she found she was in Naruto's hospital bed next to him, while Kin and Tenten could only nod at her statement. Hey, I was just joking, I didn't know they would do it in his head, said Tayuya, hoping that they didn't try to blame this on her. What are you talking about? We didn't do anything perverted, you flute-playing hussy, said Ino, her face turning red from embarrassment, along with Tenten and Kin red with both embarrassment and anger, while the others had trouble deciding on just who to maim at the moment. What did you call me, you blonde low-loving whore? Said Tayuya, as it was her turn to retaliate. Enoguh, yelled Naruto, who wished he hadn't, as it caused him more pain than he wanted at the moment, as it required the movement of muscles that were in no condition to be used at the moment. Naruto-kun, don't stress yourself, said Hinata, wondering why he hadn't healed yet like all the other times he did, like when he fought Lee in the Chunin exams. Sorry, Hinata. I just don't want anyone here fighting because of me. I hate it when others fight because of me, said Naruto before he took a drink of ice-cold water through a big semi-transparent water bottle hanging slightly to his right. Sorry, Naruto-kun, said Ino and Tayuya before they looked at each other with glaring eyes, telling the other to back off. Hey, how come you get to call him Naruto-kun? Tentan-eyeing Tayuya suspiciously as she had never seen the girl before. I'm Tayuya. Kin knows me for when I was in Sound and was once seen as the Orochi team's bodyguard with the other assholes of Sound 5. And for me calling him Naruto-kun, Hinata give her a glare. I'm the newest addition to his harem, said Tayuya, giving her own V for victory hand sign while the others in the harem looked at her before looking at Naruto, who was clearly as surprised as him. How the hell did that happen? Said Hana while Haku was thinking along those lines as they had been close to Naruto for a while now and in comes this girl from Sound of all places and gets in like that. Someone was going to suffer for this. Hokage Tower at that moment. Incidentally, just as Tsunade was about to finish her morning paperwork and take a long break, she let out a very powerful sneeze, knocking over all of her paperwork, which she would have to pick up and have to look at all over again. No, yelled Tsunade before she decided to try to make a break for the sake cabinet, which she failed to do in part thanks to Shizune running in, hearing her teacher's cry, knowing what it was and hitting her with a sedative needle to the thigh, making her fall to sleep rather than become stupidly drunk. Why do I have a feeling she had it coming? Said Shizune, knowing now she would have to do the paperwork herself until the drug's sedative nature wore off, again. Back at the hospital. Well, it's not official just yet. But maybe after a few dates and getting to know Naruto-kun better, I'm sure he'll get attached to me like he did all of you scanty-clad meatbags, said Tayuya before getting bopped in the head by Kurenai, knowing that if the girl kept this up she wouldn't get out of the hospital alive. Get in line, Tayuya, each of us has to get a date with Naruto-kun before you, said Kin before looking over at Naruto, who looked slightly guilty in the eyes while Hinata was blushing and looking just as guilty. From the looks on their faces it seems they already had theirs, said Tayuya, smiling wickedly while the other girls, minus Kurenai, had a right eyebrow twitching. Naruto-kun, is this true? Said Temari, as her hand reached for her fan to hit both Naruto and Tayuya hard on their heads. You are going to get dates, Temari-chan, but I choose who I go on the date. I had chosen Hinata for the first date while Haku will get hers when I'm healed, and then I will go on a date with one of you until all of you have had at least one date. However, I can't do that until I heal properly, said Naruto, though calm had secretly gripped Hinata's arm with his left hand that was hidden by his body, slightly afraid they would hurt him regardless of whether he was injured or not. Fortunately, his explanation stemmed the fires in their eyes that most women get when they want to beat the crap out of somebody. Such an example would be Tsunade beating up Jiraiya. Speaking of healing, how come Slade-kun hasn't healed your body yet, Naruto-san? Said Kurenai, knowing that the boy was known for his fast healing from constant injuries. This got everyone in the room at attention. The damage done to my body from the jutsu I used to Kei Sasuke, Orochimaru, Kabuto, and everyone else at the Valley of the End was so powerful it nearly killed me. My body is so weakened right now it will take Slade the remainder of the week to heal before I can move without problems. Even then I won't be a 100%, said Naruto, enjoying the feel of Hinata's hand squeezing his in a comforting manner. Hokage Tower Secret Council meeting. This is absurd, Danzo. My daughter would never associate with a demon boy Gaara any more than she would that Kazama brat, said Haruno Hitomi, looking furiously at the one-eyed man in front of her. My Anbu root member that spied on him has told me otherwise, Haruno-san, as he overheard a conversation with the two where the creature practically confessed to what he was. In the end your daughter went and hugged the boy right afterwards. Either he's manipulating her or she is a demon lover, Haruno-san. Which one is it? Said Danzo, now looking over the report again that his subordinate gave him. It's clear she's being manipulated. I told her to stay away from the Kazama boy because he was an evil monster and all those associated with him. I would have assumed that she would have stayed away from this Gaara brat and more focused on Uchiha Sasuke. At least that way the two could one day be married and help rebuild the Uchiha clan, said a depressed Haruno Hitomi, wondering how her baby could possibly get mixed up with a demon rather than the last Uchiha, as she always envisioned. Apparently that wasn't the case, as the two seem to be so close that they consider each other boyfriend and girlfriend, said Danzo, showing pictures of the two snuggled close together on a park bench with Gaara using his sand to keep her warm. She told me that she was dating someone, but never said who it was, except he was really nice and I should give him a chance before I judge him. I told her to stick with the Uchiha and no one else, and she would be set for life in a house of pure greatness. Sakura and I are going to have a long talk later when she gets home about who and what she tries to associates with, said Hitomi, glaring at the photo of Gaara with her daughter, wanting nothing more than to destroy Toboy in some painful manner. I would suggest you do it with discretion considering what happened to Inuzuka Chum and her son Kiba, who is now being interrogated by Ibiki as we speak, said Homura just before he shivered, knowing that if Ibiki could somehow trace back Naruto's attempted assassination to them, they could lose everything. You don't have to worry about that, boy. I've taken the liberty of taking care of that, said Danzo, smiling, knowing his loyal root member could assist in that situation. In the shadows of the room, a single root Anbu left to carry out his master's orders. Interrogation room 30 minutes later. At first, everything had been going great for Ibiki with the interrogation of Inuzuka Kiba and the reason behind Kiba's attempt to kill his ninja comrade. Naturally, it was over a girl he liked, in addition to his sister being in the harem of the same person, who he lost his supposed girl to. Added to the fact that his own mother told him about Naruto's demon, that she suggested that he take Naruto out in his weakened state, and that Naruto had them under a supposed spell of seduction, helped put some things in place. The real question now was, where did Kiba go for the help to do it? Ibiki was as sharp as his face was scarred from his days of being TD by the enemy during his Chunin years. Ibiki knew that there was one more piece to this puzzle, and he knew he couldn't confirm it unless he got Kiba to tell him to help give him solid proof in the matter. To think he would go this far to get Hinata away from that Naruto kid, thought Ibiki, as he headed towards the next phase of his interrogation. However, just before he could continue the interrogation, the door behind him opened and a smoke bomb was thrown in his direction, blinding him. The surprise attack lasted long enough for the attacker to hit him from behind and knock him unconscious, with the last thing that Ibiki seeing was an figure freeing the TD dog user tied up in the chair in the dark and dank room. Who are you? Said Kiba, coughing, as the smoke was in his lungs and the mental strain he had from Ibiki still affecting him. Don't talk, just listen. I am here to help you make a quick recovery so you can complete the mission given to you by Danzo-sama, said Anbu Root Ninja, giving the boy soldier and food pills to recover his strength. I can't get near him since everyone close to him knows about me. Even if I could, there is someone always watching the room in secret, making it impossible to kill Naruto, said Kiba, sitting down on a bench in an unused hall of the Hokage Tower's interrogation floor area. The village hidden in the rock, they have their own faction of elite Anbu. They are called Boulder, and they want the boy's head since they wouldn't dare touch the father. They are nearly at Kohono with 50 of their best Anbu Boulder ninja and will move quickly to kill the demon brat. Root will also help provide support to help them reach the Kazama so they can get their revenge on his father, said the Anbu Root Ninja, giving Kiba hold of full of kunai and shuriken. You do know that by the time this is over, the Hokage and the others are going to kill Danzo, right? Said Kiba, as he put the equipment on his right leg. By the time the chaos of what happens ends soon, it will be found assassinated with one Kazama Arashi as the accused cur. By that time, Danzo-sama will be instated as the new Hokage and will order his immediate execution before that day ends. In addition, Danzo-sama will be talking to the Hyuga elders about setting up an arranged marriage with the Hyuga heiress and yourself. The rest of the Rookie 9 will be hit with a strong mind-erasing jutsu that will make them forget about everything related to Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. Now go before Ibiki-san recovers, said the Root Ninja, knowing they had a small window of an opportunity before it was too late. Kohono Hospital room number 354 to 20 minutes later. Naruto found it slightly amusing to have the girls coming in trying to wait on him hand and foot, even though he told them it was not necessary and didn't want to burden them. Of course they thought it was more compassionate and romantic than anything, and in some twist of things ignored his words, working even harder. Poor Hana had to be restrained from giving Naruto a sponge bath then and there with her tongue. The girls knew that had she succeeded, a lot of things were going to happen that might result in more than one person joining him in a hospital bed. Now here he found himself with Hinata sitting in a chair to the right of his bed and Haku to his left, while the girls, after Guy and Lee came in practically shouting on and on about his flames of youth, left to give him more airspace. Hey you guys, if you are hungry then go to the dango shop nearby and get something to eat. I'm going to sleep for a little while, said Naruto, earning him concerned looks from the two girls. But Naruto-kun, what if something happens to you again? Said Hinata, knowing that the fact that her love was nearly killed with her in the room asleep burned into her skull forever. Hinata-san is right, Naruto-kun. One of us must stay here to watch over you, as you can't defend yourself from anyone who might try to kill you, said Haku, being just as worried as Hinata. True, but I can't stand the thought of either of you starving yourselves on my account since I put myself in this condition. The hospital food is worse than some of the poisons they treat shinobi for, so eating here is out of the question. Just tell Ona that Mitarashi Anko is treating you and to put it on her account since she tried to feel me up while she was guarding me. With Kiba being sent to Ribiki after being thrown in prison, people will realize they shouldn't go near me unless they are my friends or family, said Naruto, giving a reassuringly squeezing to their hands with his, as his healing was allowing him to finally move his arms and hands to an extent. Before the two girls could protest, their stomachs spoke for them with a rumble that could match Slade's growl in fox form. I guess that answers that question. Let's go, Hinata-san, so we can get a quick bite to eat so we can come right back to watch over Naruto, said Haku, blushing as her and Hinata's stomach called for food, with Hinata reluctantly by her side, still feeling uneasy about leaving her Naruto-kun alone. Sighing at the peace and quiet he needed, Naruto closed his eyes while focusing on his Jaganai in the center of his forehead and commanding it to open. Can't be too careless considering the condition I am in. Jagan style, chakra radar jutsu. Thought Naruto, fully knowing that this little number of a jutsu require no hand signs, while his demonic eye pulsed in a silent manner that could go undetected unless properly trained. The jutsu in question he was using to sense enemies and to alert him of people entering his hospital room, whether they were friend or foe. It all depended on the chakra signature that was given off and filtered into the Jaganai to search his memory for whom the type of chakra belonged to. Little did Naruto know history was soon going to repeat itself in a similar yet in a very different fashion. The question now was, would the outcome of this event have the same ending or one that was different entirely? Elsewhere, location unknown. You are sure about this? Said a white-bearded figure hidden in the shadows of the room, reading the information regarding Kazama Uzumaki. Naruto and what happened there. We're 100% sure. In addition, our link to Danzo and the council has confirmed that Root Anbu have made contact with Rock Village's Boulder faction and allowing them to enter its very walls. They may hate Konoha for winning the war, but they hate the Kazama responsible even more than the village itself. Apparently a former Konoha ninja turned traitor named Inuzuka Kiba will kill Naruto before Boulder gets to him, retrieves him, and take his body back to Rock. According to our information, he will then be sent to Rock's top medical staff for examination and dissection of his body to learn all of the Kazama's hidden secrets, said another figure in the shadows along with the other remaining 4 members of Akatsuki. Ever since we learned of Itachi and Kisam's betrayal to us along with the death of our other members Sasori and Deidara, our strength has become significantly weakened to what it once was, said another figure in the shadows with his voice laced with venom as he spoke. Indeed. However, with Konoha's forces and its power at an all-time high, it has also become unstable, hence the recent assassination attempt on the boy. As much as I hate Arashi and to a degree his son, I cannot allow Rock to get a hold of Naruto in his current condition. He is very precious to me, said the leader of the Akatsuki before vanishing completely into the shadows. What the hell was that all about? Said the only female voice of Akatsuki, wondering what the man meant. Sounds like some sort of love-hate relationship between him and the Kazamas, though it could be something else. However, if anything, it means our leader will soon make his appearance out from the shadows soon, and when then happens, death will be the only word that will describe the aftermath, said a voice next to hers before it too vanished from the area. Just outside the walls of Konoha 40 minutes later. I can't believe that Konoha would willingly surrender the son of the Yondaime to us like this. It has to be some kind of trap, said a member of the Rock's Boulder Anbu unit. Just goes to show you how much people fear what they don't understand. You read the report on this kid just like I have. He has a demon sealed inside of him and was basically an orphan for little over a decade while people treated him like crap. They see the hero's son as the demon and not the son as they should. One can only assume they felt it was best to remove him from their lives like this to get back at the demon, said the leader of the mission wearing an Anbu mask with a fish fossil-like creature on it. But can you trust them to really keep their end of the deal? I mean, what if it backfires and we go to war over this? Tsuchikage-sama made it clear we do not have the resources or the manpower to start another war with Leaf, said the other Boulder Anbu with his mask of a fossilized dog, not liking this mission and only took it to help Rock strike a much-needed blow against the Leaf while possibly learning the secrets within the body of a young Kazama clan member. That is why only the best of us came for this mission, so we could accomplish it with a 0% chance of failure. Chickening out right now is not an option when we are so close to finally getting out revenge on that bastard of a shinobi, Kohona's Yellow Flash. I refuse to go back to the head of Boulder and explain to him we failed because one of us had doubts, said the leader scowling behind his mask at his subordinate, who looked away in shame. All right, let's get this mission over with so we can all go home and celebrate our accomplishment, said the Boulder Anbu member, clearly it pointless in trying to reason with the Anbu captain. Good. Now according to our information we are supposed to make our move when the signal is given in the form of multiple explosions. While Leaf Shinobi that are kept in the dark about Root's involvement with us investigate it, we'll slip in, meet up with contact in the form of a Root captain, and then head to hospital room number 354. Expect the subject to be S by only a few minutes, so when we get in put a preserve seal on his body so we can keep him intact for the trip home, said the leader just mere moments before the explosion came farther down the wall several miles to their right. Kohona Hospital. The explosion that hit Kohona's walls was heard by everyone and it made quite the commotion among doctors and nurses, knowing that they would soon have those who were wounded from the soon-to-be battle. As the employees of the hospital rushed to prepare the empty rooms for possible future patients, Hinata, Haku, and Temari, who wanted to visit him, grew worried. They could feel that something was going to happen and it would drag Naruto. Their Naruto into it all. He's in no shape to fight and we can't move him since he's still healing, thought Haku, who could see smoke now rising from the area of the explosion form the window. Byakugan, said Hinata, activating her bloodline to see what was going on, only to gasp in shock at the sight before her, heading towards the hospital at high speed. Hinata, what is it? Said Temari, knowing that the girl wouldn't gasp unless she had a reason for it. There are Rock Anbu H heading this way, said Hinata, knowing the reason why Rock hated Leaf so much in losing the last war. Isn't anyone stopping them? Said Haku, as she tried to calm down Naruto, whose breath had become heavy while looking back at her, more fearful for her life as well as Hinata and Temari than his own. No, they're not, and what's even more confusing is that there are some Leaf Anbu that seem to be escorting him along the quickest route here, said Hinata, as she looked on, knowing they would be at the hospital within 2 or 3 minutes. I will go get Gaara and the others while you two stay here and protect Naruto. It will be difficult to hold so many back at once, but I know you two can do it, said Temari before she rushed out the door to find her brother, hoping he was nearby somewhere. In less than 30 seconds after Temari left, a quick knock at the door came and Hinata, with her Byakugan now off, thinking it was one of the girls in the harem or one of her other friends, ran to the door to answer it. Hinata, don't, said Naruto, his Jaganai alerting him of what was beyond that door, but it was too late as the girl opened the door only to surprisingly find a scowling Inuzuka Kiba before her. Kiba, said Hinata, as she was shocked to see him around since he was supposed to be locked up or being interrogated by a Biki. Without answering her, Kiba stuck, using her moment of surprise punching her in the gut to knock the wind out of her and push her aside like he was discarding a useless item. Out of the way, demon whore, said Kiba to Haku, drawing his claws, knowing he had only a short window of opportunity to cane Naruto before the others arrived to take him away. Hinata is part of the harem too. I doubt you would call her that, said Haku, drawing Ice Needle to her hands, knowing she shouldn't use her more advanced skills unless necessary to. True. However, when this is all over, I'm going to see to it that she soon becomes my whore and not some demon in human clothing, said Kiba, rushing at Haku on all fours towards Haku, increasing his speed enough to catch the ice mistress slightly off guard. Thought Haku, throwing up an ice mirror to block Kiba's head-on rush toward her. Gotcha, thought Kiba, knowing she would most likely do that to shield her and her precious bastard fox demon from his charge. Just as Haku created the mirror, Kiba put a burst of chakra into his feet and made a quick turn right, jumped over the second hospital bed, and then moved before hitting Haku with a clawed swipe that the girl barely saw coming. On instinct, Haku quickly threw up her left arm and let that particular appendage take the hit rather than her face, knowing that even if it wounded her she could still fight. This was far better than the possibility of her being knocked out or further disoriented to prevent her from continuing her fight to protect Naruto from his second assassination attempt. You are acting just like the Uchiha did before he SD. Always thinking about yourself and not for those who care about you, said Haku, while flexing her arm, finding it was only scratched up badly, but still usable at the moment. You're wrong. I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for my mom and my sister so they can be free from their prisons this demon has put them in. Because of Naruto, my mom sits in a cell soon to have her bloodline sealed away before she spends the rest of her life in prison. My sister Hana is under Naruto's control as well. I mean, can't you see that he's manipulating all of you with his demon powers? Said Kiba, reaching for his kunai and shuriken, knowing that using a jutsu in here would draw attention from what had happened outside. All I see is a lovesick fool, who can't stand the fact he can't have the one thing that he wants and to the one person, who by all rights deserves to have, said Haku, calculating her best chance of rescuing Naruto from Kiba, who at this point was next to the machines that checked on Naruto's vital signs. All Naruto could do was gauge Kiba from his current position on the bed while trying to get his right hand and arm working, if only for a moment. I may be a fool, but at least I'm not a demon-loving whore, said Kiba, throwing his shuriken at Haku, which the girl met with her needles made of ice before reaching behind her back for her hidden kunai she kept in a secret pocket in her kimono. The ice mistress paused when she heard Hinata stir, mumbling his name while trying to enter the conscious world. Naruto-kun, said Hinata in a semi-sleepy voice, as she was slowly awakening from her forced slumber. Seeing his chance as he saw Haku reach for something behind her back, he spun around with the kunai in his right hand, leaping at the CS-pled figure, pointing the weapon right at Naruto. No! Yelled Haku, as she tried to move with all the speed her body possessed to reach Kiba and block his attack on her love, but her efforts in grabbing her emergency kunai and Hinata unknowingly distracting her took too long. She could only watch in horror as the boy she loved was about to be killed before her very eyes, with her and Hinata being unable to stop it. To make matters worse, Haku could hear the footsteps of others in the hall. Footsteps of people running towards the currently open room. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.